Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. So, sometimes a guy will turn back the hands of time. And he'll give you something that you haven't seen in a long time. The great country music singer Toby Keith had a great line where he said, "I'm as good once as I've ever been." And James Harden showed that last night. I still got it. I might not be able to do it like I did in 2015, in 2016, where I'm going to give you 35, 40 minutes every night and I'm going to take a bunch of shots, and you can probably pencil me in for 30 or 28. You can pencil me in for that. I can't do it like I did years ago, but I can still do it once. 100%. I could still do that. Now, you got to remember, when there's one side to something, there's another side to it too. Well, what I mean when I say that is, just like you saw that performance yesterday from James Harden, be clear that 0 for 11, 12 points, 7 assists, 7 turnovers, that's coming too. Let's give it a second. That's coming too. We can't discount how good he was last night, though. I will not discount how good he was last night. His ability to get to the basket, make plays for other people. He had crossed up Al Horford at the top of the key and ran right down the gut and laid it up. I'm thinking to myself, 5 years ago, James Harden punches that. Because that was James Harden 5 years ago. Now, Father Time is catching up with him, but he still has a lot of what he used to have. He still has a lot of what he used to have. The main problem with James Harden is, and will always be, he didn't take care of his body. So when you got this late in the season, you would see performances like 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 turnovers, 0 for 8 in the fourth quarter. You'd see stuff like that. And the reason why you saw stuff like that is because he started breaking down, because he didn't take care of his body. This Philadelphia team got great minutes out of him yesterday. And he attracted so much of the defense that allowed other guys, like Tobias Harris, particularly in transition, Tobias Harris, to get good looks. DeAnthony Melton came off the bench and gave him great minutes. Great minutes. And he got going early. It wasn't like he came off the bench and gave him a quick 4 or 5 minutes. No, he got going early. And I thought that Doc used him in a great way, where they had some action on the wing, where they made the Boston Celtics guard for a particular period of time, and the shot clock was running down, and he'd get a good look, and he'd just nail it. I was surprised at Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum at the end of the game more than anything. And the reason why I was surprised with those guys, because when you get to this juncture of the season, we got an identity, man. There's no misunderstanding in Golden State who the guy is. So when we get into the meat and potatoes of the game, we know who we're going to. We know exactly who the guy is, who we're drawing it up for. You saw Steve Kerr say to Steph Curry, "We will use every last one of these timeouts. We are not gonna gas you. We will use every last one of these timeouts to ensure that you are rested, because this is our guy down the stretch." Well, I'm watching Boston last night, and I'm watching Jason Tatum, I'm watching Jaylen Brown pass up shots down the stretch. Who is the guy that's in the huddle going, "I'll finish it"? We should already know that. Now, I understand that you get to a point where, we do it by committee. Well, that only works for a certain period of time. At some point, we have to have a guy. And I think that guy is Jason Tatum. He's just so up and down. Same thing with Jaylen Brown. The fact that he only took 3 shots after the first quarter. He got going. I think he was 7 for 9, 7 for 8 to get started. He got going. And then he kind of disappeared. And it wasn't like Philadelphia shut him down, because he was getting good looks in transition. They put him in one-on-one situations where he could get his own shot. They did that. He just didn't take shots. And a lot of that had to do, Jason Tatum had it going, sure. But we need you to get involved in the offense also. Just because I got it going does not mean that you don't get involved. And Jaylen Brown has a history of this where you'll get 22 out of him in the first half, and you might not see him for the rest of the game. That's happened with him before. Numerous times. I've seen him go for 30 and a half or go 28 and a half, and you won't see him again, or you'll see very little of him for the rest of the game. That game yesterday, if they lose, if the Philadelphia 76ers lose that game, Boston sweeps them. Why do I feel like that? The reason why I feel like that is because what James Harden did, I doubt very seriously that you're getting that again. I doubt very seriously, not even 45. Let's take 45 off the table. I doubt very seriously that you're getting a performance similar to that, where you're going to get 28, 12, and 8, which is what's going to have to be in order for them to continue to compete in this series. Why? Because Joel Embiid's not coming back. If Joel Embiid had this injury in January, he'd be out till after the All-Star break. This thing is way worse than they told you. Way worse. Way worse than they told you. Which means that now James Harden's going to have to do more. Tobias Harris is going to have to do more. I wasn't surprised with Maxey, because Maxey knows that in order for us to have a shot, I got to get shots up. He's great. Maxey's one of the best transition players in the league, 100%. And when he gets big guys like Al Horford on him, he exploits that matchup. He'll just blow right past him, right? He'll just blow right past him, which I dug that. I dug that about him. Now, when Maxey gets himself in trouble where he'll take ill-advised shots. But that's a part of the growing process. I get that. 100%. That's part of the growing process. Again, I think DeAnthony Melton, I thought he was great for them off the bench. I thought Paul Reed gave them fantastic minutes. I thought he gave them great minutes, getting on the backboard, particularly in the second half, slowing down that Boston attack. I didn't understand from Coach Mazzulla why they didn't play Robert Williams more in the second half. I didn't understand that. Because when you get into a game like what James Harden is doing, you need a rim protector. You need a rim protector. And with Tobias Harris, Boston has a tendency to switch a lot. And Tobias Harris getting switched on to Al Horford, he drags Al Horford away from the basket. There's no rim protection there. None. So because there's no rim protection there, now guys like Maxey, guys like Tobias Harris, James Harden, they have free reign to get to the basket, to take their guy one-on-one. Because there's no rim protection. So why Robert Williams wasn't in the game yesterday in the second half, I didn't understand that. I did not understand that. I do think that we now have a series, because I've said this to you guys before and I'll say it again. The series doesn't start until the home team loses. Well, the home team lost. I still think Boston makes quick work of these dudes. I really do. There are a lot of people who don't trust Boston, and there are times when I have trust issues with Boston, but I think that they still handle Philadelphia. Speaking of handling somebody, Nikola Jokic has completely dominated his position. 100%. He's doubled everything that DeAndre Ayton has done. He's doubling it. I'm going to do what you do plus more. And I've always had a problem with people who just think that you could just throw a guy on a unit and it's going to work. This Phoenix team was just in the NBA Finals 2 years ago, sure. But you throw KD on this unit and everybody automatically thinks Phoenix is the favorite to go to the finals, completely leaving out what they lost to get him. They lost one of the best I'm going to take that back. They lost one of the best defensive players in the game. That's a big deal when you don't have that anymore. That is a huge deal. for KD, who just got on the unit after being out for over a month and a half, almost 2 months. So you're going to throw him on the unit in 8 games and then expect this thing to work. That's such a disrespect to the rest of the crews in the NBA, particularly Denver. Just so you guys know, Joker and Jamal Murray been together 7 years. 7! MPJ been on that crew for 3 years. Aaron Gordon just got on the crew last year. Jeff Green's on the crew this year. The whole year, by the way. Bruce Brown been on the crew. The whole year. The entire season. When you develop that kind of chemistry and that kind of continuity, that's a recipe for disaster for a crew that's still adding to their crew. Because you guys don't have it together. We do. Prime example would be Jamal Murray yesterday. Jamal Murray couldn't buy a shot. And the same shots he was getting in game 1, he was getting pretty similar shots in game 2. Whether he was going downhill, whether he was stopping, popping in transition, he was getting pretty good looks. But he just couldn't buy a shot. So what does Jamal Murray do? Because he knows his crew, you know what? I'm going to get KCP involved in it because KCP had it going. I'm going to get Joker involved in transition because the big fella's running the floor. Which I'm still surprised that nobody's bringing up the fact that KD is the last line of defense in transition. How many times he's been the last line of defense in transition. And all Joker does when he sees KD is just run to the rim. And he'll just bury KD underneath the basket where KD has to pick up fouls. He'll just run right to the rim because he knows that he can't cover him underneath there. And then you'll see KD screaming at DeAndre Ayton, big fella, I need you to get back on defense. I can't handle him by myself. I need you to get back on defense. Right? I'm going to get Joker involved in the game. I'm going to get MPJ involved in the game. I'm definitely going to get Aaron Gordon involved in the game. He's been fantastic in this series. Now, I understand that the altitude might be an issue, and I hear people telling me, yo, these guys are gassed. I mean, I don't buy that logic, and the reason why I don't buy that logic is because this is why we do what we do in the summer. This is why you're on the track. This is why you're working out all of those hours. For times like now. I think that I'm not on the fence about this. I'm not thinking possibly. I think Denver makes quick work of these dudes. I think they make quick work of Phoenix, 100%. Even now with Chris Paul getting hurt, which we shouldn't be surprised. Why shouldn't we be surprised? We shouldn't be surprised because this is Chris Paul. He's going to break down. He broke down the year they went to the NBA Finals. He told you that against the Lakers. He had a screwed up shoulder. He told us that. So we shouldn't be surprised that he broke down. Should we be? I don't think so. I don't think we should be surprised at all that he broke down. So with now not having him on the floor, right? Now not having him on the floor, and now you got to go to Cameron Payne full time because I think Chris Paul is done for the series. He's got a groin injury. I think he's done for the series. Knowing Chris Paul, yeah, I think he's done for the series. And considering his age, I think he's finished. So with that being said, where are we now? You got a backup point guard in Cameron Payne, who last season in the playoffs, the reason why that series got extended with the New Orleans Pelicans was because Cameron Payne played so bad. So now he's in full-time duty. So what are we going to get out of him? And mind you, not just him as a rotation guy. Monty Williams actually went to his rotation. He just didn't get anything from these guys. This is the same. This the same group that we've been talking about. Yo, you got to get T.J. Warren more in the game. You got to get Bismack Biyombo more in the game. But he hasn't gotten anything from those guys. Nothing. Meanwhile, Mike Malone has shortened his rotation. He's in an 8-man rotation. 8. And he's doing that because, number one, we're going to play fast in stretches. But when we get in the half court, we're going to make you guys guard. And when they make them guard, that slows down their transition game. So I think that Denver makes quick work of these dudes. I don't think that this series lasts longer than 5 games. I would be surprised if it did. But we got some really good games tonight, and it's the playoffs. It's basketball season, guys, and I'm here for it. So until then, take it light, but take it.